Hello, YouTube. In this episode, I wanted to go over the history of the star basketball cards and their short but significant impact on the hobby and basketball history. The star cards are a personal favorite of mine, not just because of the look and design, but also the unique history and rareness to find legit copies of these cards in great condition. In the late 1970s and 1980s, the popularity of the NBA was at its lowest point. So much so that certain NBA Finals games were actually tape delayed. You couldn't even watch the NBA Finals live, which sounds crazy nowadays with how popular the sport has become. The low popularity of the sport also translated to basketball card sales. They just weren't selling anywhere close to what baseball and even football cards were during that time period. And so much so that Topps, who was producing basketball card sets from 1969 to 1981, decided it just wasn't worth the investment to do so anymore and discontinued producing basketball cards following their 1981-1982 issue. So, from 1981 to 1986, there were no major card companies producing any sets of basketball cards, which meant lots of rookie cards were missed of some very important Hall of Famers that came into the sport during that time period, including Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler, Isaiah Thomas, and many, many more. But there was one little known company that would seize the opportunity and produce the only officially licensed NBA cards during these years. From 1983 to 1985, the Star Company, founded by Robert Levin, produced the Star cards that had a unique look, unique distribution, and sale model. As opposed to being randomly distributed out into wax packs, which has been the norm for most cards prior to this point, the Star cards were distributed out in team bags or set bags out to local card shops and other distribution centers. Star kept their print runs pretty low during this time period since they were a small company. And one of the advantages that it had was the fact that, instead of printing out the same card, the same looking card in their set because they had to print over a million of them. And so, for companies like Topps and Fleer and others, it wasn't worth the cost to differentiate their cards or differentiate the designs for sure. The star cards were able to differentiate it though because they kept their numbers low. And so what they did and what was popular about them was the fact that they had their border colors different and they color coordinated their borders with the team colors of the particular player that was on the card usually. And since they kept their print numbers low as well, the scarcity of these cards has obviously remained low over the years, especially the ones in very good condition. It's believed to be, you know, the numbers aren't exact, but it's believed to be about 3,000 to 5,000 sets were created. And actually, there have been some stated that it could have gone up to maybe as much as 7,000, but the 3,000 to 5,000 seems to be a particularly good number of that a lot of these sets were created. And once again, when you're talking about finding them in a really good condition, a grade of 8 or above, for instance, those numbers are very, very low, probably somewhere around the 1,000 to 2,000 range per set. Obviously, there were lots of issues with the Star Company and the Star cards, which is one of the reasons why they were dragged down in the hobby for many, many years, and even why a lot of people, including Dr. James Beckett, have labeled them extended rookie cards, meaning not true rookie cards for various reasons. Some of the key reasons were that there were lots of distribution issues where supposedly only about 25% of the cards that were made actually made it out to the marketplace. And then, of course, there was the big controversy in the 90s where the owner of the Star Company, Robert Levin, went on the Home Shopping Network and had a bunch of Star cards that he was saying were original Star cards, when in fact they were not. They were in fact reproductions of them because he got his hands on the original printing plates and just reproduced a bunch of those Star cards and started selling them. And once it was found out, and once you can sort of differentiate between the old cards and the new cards, Well, that just sort of ruined the reputation of those originals, and of course, a lot of people have a hard time figuring out the difference, and it's come to a point where a lot of the major grading companies like PSA won't even grade star cards because of the issues with the reproductions as well as just normal counterfeiting issues with cards from that time period as well. As a matter of fact, there's only one grading company of the what's considered the major grading companies that are out there, but only Beckett or BGS will grade or authenticate star cards. All the other companies just won't do it because they just don't believe they have the complete information on how to authenticate and grade the star cards. But Beckett will do so. Supposedly, years ago, a star collector and expert gave Beckett some inside information on how to authenticate real star cards from the original three sets that they produced back in the 1980s. So they have confidence to authenticate and grade them. So they are the only ones that are doing so of the major grading companies as of right now. So my final thoughts on the star cards basically are, first of all, they are legit. I mean, they did go out and get a licensing deal with the NBA and NBPA, meaning the Players Association, to do cards during that time period. So they were officially licensed. They actually went out and took the photographs that you see on the cards, and they were really good photographs. In fact, many of those photographs were reused for some of the '86 Fleer Premier cards. But they are really good action shots that they took of those games. Supposedly, they didn't travel to very many arenas, so most of the action shots you see are from the New Jersey Nets home games because that was one of the closest arenas to the location of their company. But still, they're legit photographs of games that were actually played during a lot of those players' rookie seasons. And yes, so there are some issues in terms of reproductions and counterfeiting of those cards. I personally think that a lot of those reproductions and counterfeits, you can still pretty much tell that they are in fact not legit original versions. There's lots of uh, things like the borders are much wider, or the colors of the borders are just significantly off. That really are dead giveaways. But if you're still not confident in purchasing raw star cards, then just go and purchase the ones that have already been authenticated and graded by BGS. That's obviously going to be your safest route, and it's something that I would recommend doing if you want to start investing in these star cards. I've invested in several of my own, and they were already authenticated and graded by BGS, just so that there's no issues with them. And I think they're a good investment because they, like I said, they didn't have large print runs during the years that they made these, and to find them graded, highly graded, is still pretty rare in this day and age. And like I said, I consider these cards, including like the Michael Jordan number 101 from the 84-85 star set, to be their true rookie cards. I don't think it's fair to try and label them extended rookie cards just because they were distributed out in team bags as opposed to random hobby packs, which there were a lot of products back in the day, back in the 70s and 80s, that weren't really random when they loaded them in the wax packs or retail packs or whatever. I mean, you can look. I mean, there have been people that have done posts and videos about knowing the print runs of the '86 Fleer cards and '87 and '88 even. Like they didn't really randomize those print runs that well, so a lot of people can usually tell based off of even just the top card or bottom card all the cards that they're going to get in a wax pack from some of those years. Because they just cut the sheets in the same order and they put all the cards in the packs pretty much in the same order. So, I mean, I don't think the mystery of finding cards in a wax pack really has much merit in this argument. So I don't like those arguments, and I just don't like the reasons that people have said in the industry over the years that they don't consider the star cards legit cards. I consider them legit. I think they're great cards. I think they're great investments. If you want to start going out and trying to get your hands on some, I think that that would be a great idea if you are able to. And yeah, I just wanted to give this brief explanation in these star cards and what they are and why they are a fascinating piece of history in the hobby. Please give me some thoughts and comments about star cards if you have any. I would love to hear some feedback from other people in the hobby on these cards. And I enjoy doing this video and appreciate you guys watching. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.